Welcome back to Chilling Fireside Stories, where the gentle warmth of the fire soothes you while the cold mysteries we explore send a shiver down your spine. Imagine the contrast, crackling flames in front of you, and yet we're about to unravel a story so deeply chilling, you may find it hard to get comfortable. Tonight, we're diving into a tale that has mystified and haunted many for almost 2 decades. It's a disappearance so perplexing that even seasoned investigators and the brightest minds of internet sleuths have been left baffled. This is the story of Maura Murray. It's not just a mystery, it's an enigma, one where every detail seems to lead to more questions than answers. Who is she? Why did she suddenly disappear on a cold winter night? And perhaps most importantly, where did she go? Tonight, as we settle into the flickering glow of the fire, let's take our time to piece together the puzzle. Let the flames comfort you, even as the uncertainty of this story begins to unfold bit by bit. To understand the mystery of Maura Murray's disappearance, we first need to understand who Maura was, not just in name but in life, in spirit, and in the relationships she held dear. Because, like many great mysteries, the answers often lie within the person at the center of the story. Maura was born on May 4, 1982 in Hanson, Massachusetts. Picture a small, tight-knit New England town. A place where everyone knows your name, where families have deep roots and life feels predictable, safe. But even in the safest of places, sometimes darkness lurks where you least expect it. Maura grew up in a big family, the fourth of 5 children. Her father, Fred, was someone she looked up to. They shared a special bond, one built on mutual respect and love. Fred worked hard to provide for his family, working in medical technology, while Maura's mother, Lori, cared for the home. From an early age, Maura showed promise. She was intelligent, driven, and competitive, qualities that would carry her through life. She excelled in academics, yes, but also in athletics. Maura was an outstanding runner, particularly in track and field. Imagine her, focused, determined, pushing herself to be faster, stronger, always aiming for the next goal. But behind the drive to succeed, perhaps there was more to Maura than even her closest friends and family could see. By the time she entered high school, Maura was a rising star. Her future seemed bright. In 2000, she took a step that many could only dream of. She entered the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. West Point, it's not a place for the faint of heart. It's a rigorous, demanding institution that molds young cadets into disciplined soldiers. For Maura, it represented a path to a life of honor and service. But life at West Point wasn't easy. There was pressure, a constant demand for perfection. And as we often see with high achievers, sometimes the weight of expectations can become too much. In 2001, Maura's time at West Point came to an abrupt end. She was caught stealing makeup from a store. A seemingly small mistake, yes, but at West Point, a place built on strict moral codes, it was enough to end her time there. Maura left the academy, transferring to the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, to study nursing. This was a turning point in Maura's life, though we may never fully know the emotional toll it took on her. Did she feel like she had failed? Did the shame of leaving West Point haunt her? Or was she simply ready for a fresh start? We can only wonder. At UMass, Maura seemed to be doing well, at least on the surface. She was focused on her studies, aiming to become a nurse, just like her older sister. But as with so many stories, the surface doesn't always reflect what's going on underneath. In the months leading up to her disappearance, Maura began facing challenges that would weigh heavily on her. Her personal life was more complicated than many realized. She had a long-distance relationship with her boyfriend, Billy Roche, who was stationed in Oklahoma with the military. Maintaining a long-distance relationship is never easy, and Maura and Billy had their ups and downs as most couples do. Some close to her said their relationship was strained in the months before her disappearance. There were also rumors, whispers really, of other relationships Maura may have had. These rumors were never confirmed, but they do paint a picture of a young woman who, perhaps, was trying to navigate the complexities of love, pressure, and a future she wasn't fully certain of. By early February 2004, something in Maura's life seemed to shift. The stress, the pressure, the uncertainty, whatever it was, seemed to build into a series of unusual events that would leave everyone around her with more questions than answers. On Thursday, February 5th, Maura was working her shift as a security officer at UMass. It was late at night, around 1 a.m. when she received a phone call that seemed to upset her. She broke down in tears, inconsolable. Her supervisor tried to comfort her, but Maura wouldn't say much, only that it had something to do with her sister. Whatever it was, it struck her deeply. Then came Monday, February 9th, the day Maura left UMass and the day she vanished. That morning, Maura emailed her professors, telling them that she had a family emergency and would need to be away from school for a week. But here's the strange part. There was no family emergency. No one in Maura's family was in trouble. So why did she send that email? What was she really planning? That Monday, February 9th, Maura Murray's actions became even more puzzling. After emailing her professors and work supervisor about the fabricated family emergency, she proceeded to gather several personal items: her textbooks, clothes, and toiletries. But what stood out was that she meticulously packed these items into her car as if preparing for a long trip. Along with those, she also packed up her dorm room, placing her belongings in boxes, but curiously leaving behind something: a printed email exchange with her boyfriend Billy Roche. The email exchange seemed to reveal a recent strain in their relationship, adding to the mystery of what might have been going on in Maura's mind. Around 3:30 p.m., Maura got into her black 1996 Saturn sedan and drove off campus. Her destination was unknown, and to this day, it remains a critical piece of the puzzle. What we do know is that she stopped at an ATM and withdrew $280 in cash, the majority of what was in her account. Surveillance footage showed her at the ATM alone, calm and composed. There was no visible sign of distress. This was the last confirmed sighting of Maura before her car would later be found, abandoned on a rural New Hampshire road. Maura then made another stop at a nearby liquor store, purchasing a variety of alcohol, including a box of Franzia wine. Again, surveillance footage confirmed that she was alone, making no attempt to conceal her identity. From there, she got back into her car and continued her mysterious journey. At approximately 4:30 p.m., Maura checked her voicemail. This would be the last recorded use of her cell phone. After that, Maura drove north into the cold, remote areas of New Hampshire, leaving behind everything she knew without a word to anyone. But what was Maura's plan? Was she running away from something? Or was she running towards something? These are the questions that have baffled investigators and amateur sleuths alike for nearly 2 decades. Now let's explore the events that followed her disappearance. The moments that would send shockwaves through her family and the entire true crime community. Later that same evening, around 7:25 p.m., a local resident in Woodsville, New Hampshire, heard a loud thud outside their home on Route 112, a rural road that cuts through the White Mountain National Forest. When they went to investigate, they saw Maura's black Saturn sedan crashed into a snowbank along the side of the road. The car's front end was severely damaged, and it appeared that Maura had lost control, likely sliding on the icy pavement. A school bus driver, Butch Atwood, who lived nearby, stopped at the scene and offered to help. Atwood spoke briefly with Maura, who insisted that she did not need assistance. She said she had already called AAA. But here's the thing. There was no cell service in that area, making it impossible for her to have called for help. Atwood, sensing something was off, offered to call the police on her behalf. Maura once again declined. She appeared unhurt, but her demeanor was calm, almost strangely so, given the situation. After Atwood left to call the police from his home, something happened. By the time authorities arrived on the scene just minutes later, Maura was gone, vanished without a trace. Her car was still there, locked, with the keys nowhere to be found. Inside, police discovered an empty beer bottle and the box of Franzia wine that she had purchased earlier that day. There was no sign of a struggle, no footprints leading into the nearby woods, and no indication of where Maura might have gone. It was as if she had simply disappeared into thin air. For the next several days, local authorities scoured the surrounding area, using search dogs, helicopters, and thermal imaging cameras. But despite their efforts, there was no sign of Maura. The case was quickly classified as a missing person, and Maura's family was contacted. Her father, Fred, immediately traveled to New Hampshire to assist in the search, convinced that foul play was involved. But despite Fred's pleas for more extensive searches and investigations, the trail went cold. To this day, Maura Murray's disappearance remains unsolved. Theories about what happened to her have run the gamut, from foul play to voluntary disappearance. Some believe that she may have been picked up by a passing motorist, while others speculate that she intentionally walked away from her life, disappearing into the wilderness or starting anew under a different identity. But one of the most compelling theories is that Maura may have fallen victim to a local predator. The stretch of Route 112 where her car was found is isolated, and many have wondered if someone who knew the area well could have taken advantage of her vulnerability that night. Since her disappearance, Maura's case has captivated the public's imagination. Her family, particularly her father Fred, has never given up hope of finding her. Fred Murray has been a tireless advocate for his daughter, criticizing law enforcement for what he believes were critical missteps in the early investigation. He has pursued every possible lead, hired private investigators, and even conducted his own searches in the rugged terrain of New Hampshire's White Mountains. Over the years, there have been sporadic sightings of Maura reported across the country, but none have been substantiated. Some have theorized that she may have assumed a new identity, living quietly in another part of the world. Others believe she met with foul play shortly after her car crash and that her remains have yet to be found. In 2017, more than a decade after her disappearance, New Hampshire State Police conducted a search of a property near where Maura's car was found, acting on a tip that she may have been buried there. However, the search yielded no new evidence. Despite the lack of answers, Maura's case has not been forgotten. It continues to be the subject of podcasts, documentaries, and online forums, where armchair detectives analyze every detail, hoping to solve the mystery. And so we're left with the haunting question: where is Maura Murray? Is she still out there living under a new name, far from the life she once knew? Or did something darker happen to her on that cold winter night in 2004? As we sit by the fire, warmed by its glow, we're reminded that not all stories have an ending. Some, like Maura's, remain open-ended, a mystery that refuses to let go. Thank you for joining me by the fire tonight. If you have any thoughts, theories, or ideas about Maura's disappearance, feel free to share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on this haunting mystery. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It means a lot and truly encourages me to continue bringing you more stories. And don't forget to tap the bell icon so you'll be notified every time a new mystery unfolds by the fire. Share this video with others who love a good mystery, and until next time, stay warm, stay safe, and remember, not all mysteries can be solved.